Hey Periscope, how are you? I am trying to fix my camera because I wanted to talk to y'all for a little while, and I said I'm still in the same spot. Got dressed and everything, but still in the same spot. Today's my study day. Today's my study day for Bible study. I hope you're ready. Hey Sint, how are you? I missed you last night, but I wanted to talk to y'all for a little while. And thanks for joining. I just said I'm kind of like in my same spot because I'm studying for Bible study tonight. And I am in my little cozy spot for my Bible study. But I wanted to talk to y'all for a little while. And oh, that's a good way. That's good. I hope you can hear me. I'm grabbing my computer. Hey, how are you, Saint? Are you ready for Bible study tonight? It's gonna be really good. It's gonna be good. We're gonna continue about some stuff. I'll talk about that later. But thanks for joining. Thank you for joining. I have my little coat on because I love the air. I love the fresh air, and I love it's cold outside, but I still have the door open, and because I like air. I don't like to be secluded. I want to talk about how do we. Hi, how are you? Thank you for joining. I am putting together my Bible study, but I had to take this quick time to talk to y'all. And I post a video on Facebook. Synth, I don't know if you saw it. Okay, great. I'm going to try to Periscope it too. Because since I can work the phone and Periscope with my new phone, I'm going to Periscope it too. But Synth, I don't know if you saw where I post the video of the woman getting beat by the boyfriend or a guy, and everybody jumped into the fight and they stopped it, and that was awesome. And it was actors, and yes, but when it came to the man, no one did anything. When she was beating out a man, no one did anything. That kind of disturbed everyone and said 37% of men, and it's not a high percentage, but men do get beat too. And I said on Facebook, and if you're not my Facebook friend, my Facebook is Bridget Norvell. You can find me under Bridget Norvell. You'll see Bridget Hands Norvell, but it's still under Bridget Norvell. And what I said was, I was also, thank you, welcome for joining. And I'm not going to stay on long because I'm just going to go ahead and give you all some nuggets. But I was actually I was abused. I was abused from the beginning of time, from my life, my child life, but my mother abused me. My grandmother. That's all they knew. We were West Indian, so I went into a abusive relationship. I don't want to go ahead of myself, but I turned around and became the abuser, and I also abused the people that I was with, or the man that I was with. That wasn't good because he was also getting abused and we were constantly fighting. So I said, well, how did we get there? How did we get into an abusive relationship? Have anyone ever thought about that? How do a person, or how did I get into an abusive relationship? And I wanted to give you some steps on how you could have got there, or the person gets there. When you see, and let me plug this in, I am a international speaker for the Harbor House in Orlando, Florida. I speak on behalf of domestic violence abuse. So I go all over all over the Central Florida area and all over the country to speak about this. But I also pinpoint where men do also get abused. And it's not just, abuse is abuse. No matter who's doing it, it's abuse. But how do you get into an abusive relationship? Have you ever got into a relationship and said, how did I get there? How did I get here? Well, I'm going to give you some steps on how you could have got there. And there might be even more, but let's get the steps and see the actual trigger and the familiarity, or to watch how I get somewhere. And this is why we're talking about the spirit of sabotage, and that's why I'm doing these scopes for you. I'm doing these scopes for you because it's bettering you and understanding you, so you won't walk into things such as an abusive relationship. You've identified you. The first thing is self-esteem. Abusive relationship you've walked into is because of the way you see you, your self-esteem. I don't care if your hair is pretty. Thank you, Cent. I don't care if your hair is gorgeous. You can buy $500 hair. You can have the best career. Do you know most career women, career oriented women gets the worst men's because the career they feel a man doesn't fit their criteria. Because they have taken themselves up into the totem pole, they feel, you know what, you're not good for me, or they're looking for that person to fill. Yeah, I feel that educational background, that layout, but I really still don't feel that good about myself. That's what it says. So self-esteem, it has to do with your inner self, your inner confidence. And just because you're cocky, just because it says come boldly to the throne of grace, but that doesn't mean be cocky to the throne of grace. And because you walk with such high pride, spirit of pride, that doesn't mean that you have a high self-esteem. That shows that your self-esteem is still in a lower class. And you can tell by the character and I would say the character of your friends. I don't care if you have a friend that has less education than you. Where are their character? Where is it that they see themselves and they carry their self, how they carry their self on the outside? I always told you that you carry on the inside and you're not identifying it. We're not, I'm not going to say you, I'm going to say we're not identifying it. And that's how we get into a relationship that now that the abuse come in. Number 2 will be the familiarizing that person, that abuse, that familiar thing that you're used to, but you have not actually spoke it out. You have not, I can say you have identified it, but you have not become realistic with it. You're not sitting there and allowing yourself to go through pain, go through changes, go through what you need to go through. And this is how you end up in these relationships. So it becomes familiar. So the person, we said it yesterday when I said being lonely, the person tells you the right things. The person tells you the things that you should be telling about yourself. You should be doing for yourself. And we walk in, oh, that's my soulmate. We fool ourselves. We walk into an illusion. And what do we say? Relationship comes in from 4 ways: illusion, disillusion, then the confusion, then the conclusion. 4 ways. So when we see the familiar, we have to identify the familiar and say, is this what I want for my life? Is this what God has for you? Hello, bless 145, thank you for joining. Is this what God has for you? So number 2, familiar. You have to be familiar with your surroundings. See, this seems familiar to me. I'm great. This seems, thank you, Cent. This seems familiar to me. Once you see, and I'm going to get to now number 3. Number 3 is behavioral patterns. The familiar has to do with the behavioral patterns, the patterns in your life, the patterns of your life. If you come from a very strict background, especially an authoritative parent, a parent that says, do as I say, not as I do, they're no nonsense, and they will whoop your tail in a minute. Well, not saying the parent should not take discipline, but there's a difference between punishment and discipline. Get that. There's a difference between punishment and discipline. Punishment will throw you into jail, throw away the key. Discipline will take you into a program and teach you and redirect the behavior. So what happens is we now walk into a behavioral pattern. Keeps freezing. I'm not freezing on this side. I don't know why. Because I'm not freezing. I'm near my internet. But if it keep freezing, keep coming back on because you could replay it. I don't know what's going on with Periscope. I guess everybody's Periscoping. But we have to make sure that we're not, thanks it, we're not, you're always on your game. We're not following the behavioral patterns, because in behavioral patterns, and I'm pulling something up for my parenting skills and my parenting teaching manual, because we don't understand, even when we're growing up, we're taught that, beat their behind, you need to take a belt to them and this and that is just fixing it. That's putting a band-aid on it. And what we are so used to is taking a band-aid and throwing it on our children. So now when we get older, especially for the ones that had the authoritative parents, and now we get older, we feel love is abuse. So you can talk to me anyway. You could treat me anyway. You might not take certain things. You might not say, well, he can't talk to me like that. He can't do me just anyway. But your actions say it. When you say, amen, when you say that, oh, it's okay to talk to me this way, or he's okay, he don't understand, he's just being this way. That's saying that you're used to the abuse and it's something that in your past you have not dealt with. Once again, it's patterns. It's pattern. It's behavior. It's verbal. It's mental. Mental has to do with conditions. If you come from a home that said conditions, I love you if you do this. I'll cherish you if you do that. That's where your abuse is coming from. And that's why it's familiar, because I only love him if he could give me a diamond ring, if he could pay my bills. Yeah, that's true. So it's behavioral patterns, behavioral cycles, and that becomes behavioral curse or blessings. So that now becomes your behavioral life. And we say there's 6 steps of problem solving. First thing you do, I want you to identify the problem. When you get into a relationship and you see these patterns, generational curses, yes, identify the problem. Where is the problem? Is God showing me a problem that I need to deal with, that I need to see? Number 2, understand the problem. Thank you, Bless 145. Thank you. Put that down. Number 1. That was number 1. Identify the problem. 2, understand the problem. Now that I've identified it, where did this problem come from? Where am I actually walking into? Yes, thank you. Am I actually walking into something that's familiar in my life? Where did I get this from? Why would I actually put up with this and tolerate it? So you're understanding. Number 3, agree upon a solution. That's where the conclusion come in. We talked about the relationship, illusion, disillusion, confusion, but you got to come with the conclusion. Number 4. So now number 3, the problem solving is agree upon a solution. I need a solution. Lord, how do I walk out of this? I walked into this with my mind, with my self thinking. Now, so how do I walk out of it? Give me a direction. Pray. Ask God. Tonight we're going to talk about how to bring people to Christ. We talked yesterday about pain and loneliness and talking to people that doesn't believe in our God. But we're going to talk tonight, how do you minister to somebody's heart that doesn't believe in Christ and take them into that belief? But now you have to now come up, agree upon a solution. And your solution, if you're saved, is that come to God, go asking for wisdom and seek counsel. Seek wise counsel. Number 4, make a plan now. When you agree upon a solution, you're going to make a plan. You're going to make a plan on that solution. How do now I actually execute that solution And it's making a plan. If you have to walk out of that relationship slowly, when we tell abusive person that's ready, when you're ready to walk out of it, not physically ready, but you first have to get mentally ready. And I'm going to give you some quick things on the hierarchy of the Maslow chart that we talked about before, and I didn't have it in front of me, but I have it in front of me now so I can help you to know where you are at. And this is how you know how you walked into some of these things. Now, make a plan. One of the plans we tell people to do in an abusive relationship is you want to shut down all your social network. You want to not even shut down. Before you shut down, you want to make a copy of your driver's license, a copy of your social security card, put it in a safe place, have some extra panties, have some extra clothing that you can make a way of escape. Because once you walk out of that relationship, and it depends how abusive that relationship is, you're not going to be able to walk back in. You have to get off the grid. The grid is saying that you have to be out of sight, out of mind, and nowhere to be found. So that's like a witness protection agency. So that's when you go into an abusive shelter, they're going to, your file will be wiped out in a sense that you will still be you still have your identity, but you're starting over new. You don't want to call no one familiar that you know, oh, I'm here and there, because what they're going to do is try to look for you. Oh, tonight is at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. And I have the number is 712-432-3022. 712-432-3022. And the access code is 699933. 699933 £. But I'm going to try to Periscope it tonight, so keep me in prayer. I'm hoping that the Periscope work while I'm doing this at the same time. So make that plan, and that's how one of the plans is. Now, if you're not in that much of a abusive relationship, but you just want to walk out of this situation that's not good for you, and you see it's getting you nowhere, first you have to work with you. You're going to have to work with, first plan is, how do I do a self-improvement about myself? How do I feel good about myself? Because it doesn't matter if you do walk out. You're walking out with the old person, and what you're going to do is just hook up with a new person that look like the picture, and put a pretty frame around it, as we say, scent, and put a big bow on top of it. So you have to first deal with you. Get your finances together. That's another reason why. And okay, great. That's and I'll come on more with these scopes, because we really have to talk about this. We have to talk about it, men and women. We have to talk about why we walk in these relationships. Another thing is, get yourself together, that where you're financing. Amen. Your finances is where you're comfortable, because where you're used to bringing in that other person income, and you can do what you want to do, and because his income and your income flatter each other, and you don't have to worry about anything, you want to do the same thing too when you're single. You want to be able to be comfortable in that area. This way you won't run to someone else. 9 out of 10 we get into relationships because of finances, and we don't want to. I had a person that say to me, I'm tired of working. I want my husband now. But that's not a priority of why you going to get a man, or a man going to get a woman. So, see the red flags, as my girls say on my Facebook. This Jamaican girl, she said red flag, and she would break down the red flag. She said you dive into the relationship and you don't see the red flags. See the red flags, and because of you're not being comfortable with you, we walk into these red flags. Number 5, follow the plan. Follow the plan. Follow the plan. I think Bless got cut off, but we don't follow the plan. We do all 4 steps. We identify the problem. We understand the problem. We agree upon the solution. We make a plan, but we don't follow the plan. If you're going to write the vision and you're going to make it plain, you want to make sure you're going to follow what it is that you've written down and stick with it. And once you stick with that plan, once you stay with it and you follow it, do it for 3 months. When you do something for 3 months, I'm going to tell you now that that's repetition. Repetition is a way of learning within here. And once you learn, and that's why I repeat myself, because I want to make sure, and that's why other leaders or other people that teachers repeat their self. I said, let me say that again. The only reason why I say it again, because I want you to hear it, not just because, remember, you're listening to what you want to hear, but I need for you to hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying. What is it saying to you? Hearing. So follow the plan that you've made. Number 6, evaluate the results. Give yourself 3 months, give yourself 6 months, and evaluate what it is that the plan was and if it worked. Because sometimes you got to go back and tweak that plan. You've made the plan to leave, to build up your self-esteem, but now you have to tweak that plan. It didn't work here. It didn't work there. And this is how you evaluate yourself. This is how now you evaluate, how did I get in this situation? How did I get here? What were your intentions when you walked into the relationship? Was there good intentions? And all intentions for us is good. But it might not be good for God, and it might not be good for you. We walked into this, and it's not just a spouse. It's not just people that you could walk into a bad job. You can walk into a bad roommate situation. You could walk into we could walk into so many bad situations, and they're abusive. And when you're used to abuse, friendship, we walk into bad friendship and that friend abuses us. But we say it's okay. Are you strong enough for that friendship? You got to check yourself. So now how do you do that? One of the things that we talked about, and one of my best students that's on here is Cint. We talked about the Maslow chart. Abraham Maslow wanted us to understand what motivates people. Okay, he believed that the people pause to set of the motivation system unrelated to rewards or unconscious desires. So when we walk into something, we're either walking into a reward or we want unconscious desires. You have 3 things we deal with: the unconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious. The unconscious is something that unconsciously you don't know that you're listening to, or something has been planted inside of you, even from the mother's womb. That from the umbilical cord of what that mother is going through, what that child is going through, or that mother's going through at that time during pregnancy, you're walking into it. So now that's unconsciously, and you're now learned it from it. I'm sorry, I always have to. Me and my straight nose, we'll talk about that later. So we're looking for a reward. We want someone to make us feel good about ourselves. Unconscious desires. Your desire. What's your desire unconsciously? Now, subconsciously, you're like, okay, I desire this. I desire that. I desire to be debt free. I desire to have a unlimited resource of income. And why? Because I want to help others. But where did that unconscious desire come from? And it's because of what I had to go through. So subconsciously, that's how I feel, and now I consciously act it out. But how do you choose to act it out? That's the problem. Maslow in 1943 stated that people are motivated to achieve certain needs. When one need is fulfilled, a person seeks to fulfill the next one, and so on. So this is why we call it the Abraham Maslow chart. The chart of hierarchy. So what we achieve, the achievement in our life. So many of us want to achieve certain things, but because of our maturity level, we only get a certain level and a certain thought pattern and a certain way. This is why I myself can't tolerate certain individuals around me because I know where you're at in your level, and not saying I'm putting you down. What it is that I have passed it and I can't go back. I can help you come up, but I can't come down with you. And that's not a leader. A leader helps you come on up, not take you down or come down to your level. Jesus came down to our level, but to take us up. I can come down to a certain amount, but I can't stay there. I could come and help you, but I can't stay down there, because eventually you're going to try to pull me down. And that's what Peter tried to do. We talked about that yesterday when I said, Jesus said, "Get thee behind me, Satan," because Peter didn't understand. I have to now take you up, not you keep me where y'all are at. So what is that? The earliest and the most widespread version of Maslow is the hierarchy, including the 5 motivational needs. Often, despite it, and I'm going to tell you now, it's so funny. Yesterday I was at State Farm, and I just had an 8th grade education. I'm just going to let you know that now. It's in my book. And a thing with my education, I had dyslexia. So for me to even be able to read and everything, I had a 5th grade reading average, but I came on up. I learned how to bring myself up. So anything I do bring to you, I bring it to you wholeheartedly because I have a passion to see you change, because I know I can change, you can change. There is no excuse for me. So I don't see you even using it as an excuse for yourself. And I love to see, that's why I love to teach, because let me teach you what I've been through. Okay. So despite as a hierarchy level with the pyramid, the 5-stage model. Now we talked about the 5-stage model can be divided into basic and basic needs. And it goes like this. We talked about this before, but I'm going to break down the 5-stage model. And I have it here, but I want to see something. I'm looking at one of my commercials, and I see if I have my breakdown differently, but I'm going to go by their breakdown here. One of the 5-stage model is physical and survival. It's your survival needs. So what is your survival needs? You need water. You need a place to sleep. No matter how, a homeless person always finds a shelter. They're always going to go up under a bridge or somewhere that they can feel safe. Physical and survival needs. They need to survive, so they're going to find somewhere they can lay their head and be there. Now, most poise that the needs are arranged in hierarchy, and it's quite true that man lives by bread alone. When there is no bread, but what happens to man desire when there is plenty of bread and when their belly is chronically filled? So once you're hungry and you don't have any needs, your psychological needs has to do, and your biological need has to do with your air, your food, your drink, shelter, warmth. Guess what? Sex, sleep, and etc. So these are your biological and your psychological needs. Your psychological and your psyche needs you need all this. What Maslow was saying, that you could not go up the hierarchy without actually I'm trying to think, it's right there, actually fulfilling one of those needs and passing it. So you have to complete the needs of this. Second is safety needs, protection, elements, security, order, law, and stability. That's saying that you are going to have your insurance, you're going to make sure. And I just found out, just to plug this in, I just found out that I don't have dental insurance and I need to fix this teeth back here. But because I don't have it, I didn't have the Affordable Health Act. I hate to call it Obamacare, but Affordable Health Act. I'm going through some steps right now, and I'm going to maybe have to pay cash to fix this teeth. But God is showing me something, because man is trying to really throw and force these needs on you. You have to have insurance to drive a car. Now you have to have insurance to live, or you have life insurance, and then you have health insurance, and then you have this insurance, and then you have that insurance. You have insurance on everything. You have rental insurance. So they're trying to keep you on the safety need. They keep you in the second hierarchy. Amen. Thank you, Saint. But so now they trying to keep you here and keep you in that need of the second level of the pyramid that you never actually get past. And this is why I'm going to show you the third need. Now look at this, Saint. The third need is what stops us from walking into, because once we're in the second need, I'm going to use myself as an example. I need to fix my teeth. Now they're saying, and I know a lot of wives and men and women, and even a gentleman that I was talking to today. I see you got knocked off, but I know you'll come back on. Yesterday was saying that I'm on my dad's insurance, my dad and health insurance, and he stayed with his dad because he's on health insurance. Again, staying in a relationship that might not be healthy for you. And thanks, Sam, for coming back on. Staying in a relationship, I was talking about the, what you missed, Sam, was, hold on. I'm sorry. What you meant was actually, I spoke to a young man yesterday, and because he needed health insurance, he said, I'm still with my dad. Do you see how we stay in relationships that we need to get out of? Because they're keeping us in number 2, the safety needs. And that's the needs that they need us to stay there, because we need to now be dependent on someone. I hear people say, oh, my husband, I'm on my husband insurance, or I'm on this one insurance. And it's like, okay, are you with the husband or are you with the wife for what you need, your safety needs? I didn't want my tea to get cold. Okay. So number 3, this is why we never get to number 3. And number 3 is love and belongingness needs. That means that our love, friendship, intimacy, affection, love from work, group, family, friends, romantic relationship. We don't have romantic relationships anymore. We have lust relationships. We have relationships that's convenient. So we never really get to number 3, because we stay right there in the hierarchy, where even friendship, I can't get close to a friend because I never learned how to trust. I never, not personally, but saying when we don't get past those 2 biological, physical, and survival and safety needs, I never learned how to really love a person. So now I have conditions of the love, and I can't love you unconditionally because I have conditions to it, because I need to be safe. So you never get to the third one, love and belongingness. Number 4, esteem needs. What did I say? How did you get into a actual physical relationship, abusive relationship? Because esteem needs, self-esteem, achievement, independence, status, prestige, and managerial responsibility. So we never get past that. We don't know our self-esteem. We never got past love. So how am I going to know esteem? So this is why we get into these actual steps. Now, the next one, hold on. Let me go ahead and bring this, is the next step is actually, give me a second. Let me open this up. Okay. The next step is when we talk about esteem, we talk about love and belonging. Esteem is confidence, achievement, respect of others, and respect by others. When we don't understand our self-esteem, we become disrespected. It's not that you have to like me. but I know you're going to respect me. I never had problem with people disrespecting me. They might not like me, but they're not going to disrespect me because how I carry myself. And I've passed that esteem. So now the last one is a self-actualization. We can never get higher. And my battery's going down. Hold on. Because I don't want to lose this. Because I know, Cynth, you've been waiting for this Maslow hierarchy chart. And there you go. Okay. And it looks like, all right. I should have checked all this. Hold on for a second. Give me a sec. Let me plug up some other way. Okay. I'm back. I love my gadgets because I'm always ready. Be ye ready. Okay. So, let's go back. Self-actualization is the needs of realizing personal potential, self-fulfillment, seeking personal growth, and peak experiences. So, when you get to your self-actualization, it says, although we are theoretically capable of self-actualization, most of us will not do so, or only a limited degree. Maslow once again felt like no one can get there without fulfilling those other four, but Jesus showed us that he got there, and he had safety and physical and survival, because he had nowhere. The Son of Man had nowhere to lay his head or rest, but he still accomplished all the needs. Now, Maslow in 1970 estimated that only 2% of people, this is really bad, 2% of people will reach a state of self-actualization. He was particularly interested in the characteristics of people who consider to have achieved their potential as a person. A person that achieved their potential has a selflessness. They're selfless, not selfish. Selfless, not selfish. So they don't look for others. They help others. And that was my goal. When I found out about this, I said, I'm going to get to that goal. Characteristics of self-actualizers: they perceive reality efficiently and can tolerate uncertainty. So that means that if something happens in their life that's not certain, they don't break down. They don't go crazy. If I can't pay my car note, I don't have to go look for that man and look for that person to try to help me pay for it, but God will fulfill my needs. And if I have to just tweak and do something else, that's fine. I don't get out of bed. I don't get out of whack. I don't get out of shape. How you notice how people just get upset about the littlest thing. You broke my pen. You broke my car. You broke this. You did this. And they get out of whack because that is their value. If the treasure, to show you a treasure in a man's heart, is how they act towards it, and that's how they feel. I remember one time my daughter said something about they broke I think one of my grandchildren broke her vase. And I said, have you thought about if the child is okay? I don't care about the vase. The vase can be replaced. Materialistic. That's it. So the vase could be replaced, but the thing is, they're materialistic because that's the value that they see in themselves. And it's sad because they have no value within themselves. So the material brings value to them. That's why you see a man with a midlife crisis will go buy a convertible in his 60s or 70s, or you see a man in his 60s or 70s actually I saw one dressed like a teenager, because it's something they miss, and that's they're still trying to rehash what it is that they miss. So yeah, this man was about 70 years old, dressed like a 16-year-old. But that's what he was. Number three, spontaneous in thoughts and action. I'm spontaneous. I'm putting together a lesson, but if someone called me and said, I need your help, and I can jump up and put it aside. You know, I was doing something, you bothered me, and I was in the middle of something. People like that, I disconnect myself from, because what are you upset about? Things change. Things are subject to change. I've had plenty of events where the event where I planned on paper for it to go this way didn't. It's subject to change. Spontaneous. Someone that's spontaneous, that's quick on their feet, that can think. So it didn't go this way. So now what can I do? And not get out of shape. The more you grumble and complain, the more you're making it worse for yourself. Just do it. Number 4, problem-centered, not self-centered. Problem-centered. Problem solving. That's 6 steps of problem solving that we talked about. Find the solution to the problem, not sit up there in the center of the problem and keep on talking about it. Oh, if I didn't do that, oh Lord, there you see, oh Lord, you know, they just went ahead and did this, and oh, what am I gonna do now? Woe is me. Get up. And I'm quick to say, shut up. What we gonna do about it? You know, because the more you dwell on it, the more yes, I know. I said that in my mind. I don't say that to the person. I said that to my granddaughter one day. She said, you told me to shut up. I said, I'm sorry, baby. I said, this is my inside voice. I ain't mean to tell you shut up. Come on, let's just go ahead and take care of this problem. But problem centered. Number 5, usually sense of humor. I have a great sense of humor. I can look at the most tragic thing, or the most things that go on, and make sense out of it and see humor behind it. I think God has a great sense of humor, and that's why he made me that way, because I think he's funny. I'm like, you're so funny. You did this to this person and that person. You're so funny. Take it. Look, it's more, they say you use more muscles when you actually frown than you do to smile. And I'm smile. I love a smile. I love to smile. I love to look at things and say, aha. Number 6, able to look at life objectively. Look at life objectively. Number 7, highly creative. I'm highly creative. I build websites. There is nothing. And I'm taking on some study right now with some history and some things that I have to put together for my future. It's my creativity. I can't stop thinking. I can't stop learning. That's why I can't gossip. I can't call you and talk about somebody, because they are irrelevant, or whatever it is if it's relevant to where I'm going and what I am doing, then we could talk. But I also like challenges. I was talking to one of my armor bearers yesterday, and she said to me, we were talking about Enoch, and I told her the history of Enoch and all that stuff. And I was telling her about my teeth, and she said, oh, Pastor Bridget, she's like, I'm not home. I said, I'm cool. I said, I have a few things that I have to work out, and tomorrow I'm going to get back on it, because Bible study is important to me, and I'm not in pain, thank God. But tomorrow I'm going to get back on it. And I told her, and I said to her, I said, if you ever want an affordable dentist, I said, I call the school, and the schools are closed till the 5th. She's like, I've never thought about that. I said, you've never thought about that? And to me, it's unique, because I think out the box. And I said, well, look like I'm going to have a little problem with the free dentist, or Harris County, or whatever. Yeah. And people never thought. She said, you are unique. She's like, I would never think about that. Yeah. I said, if you're ever in Orlando, or find Tampa, find a dentistry place, or even dermatologists. They need a human body to work on. So you can go get your teeth cleaned. I used to get my teeth cleaned for like $10, $20. I said, this might cost me about 80 something dollars. I don't know, where they charge you for laboratory fee and then putting it in. I'm looking at over maybe $200-300 to fix it, when I can go ahead and wait for the school to open up and maybe pay half of that. So creativity. I'm creative. I think outside of the box. I have a problem. I need to go ahead and get this problem resolved. Okay, number 8, resist to I need to see how to say this word, but not purposely unconventionally. Let me check. One thing I like to do is check on words and how you say a word. So how you say this word?
Enculturation.
Enculturation. I thought it was right, but I just didn't want to pronounce it. Okay. Resistant to enculturation, but not purposely unconventional. So enculturation is gradually accusation of the character and norms of a culture group by a person, another culture, etc. So basically, I guess what Maslow is saying, that you're okay. You're okay with culture. I'm big on culture. I don't look at class. I don't look at color. I look at culture. And I'm big on culture. I deal with different cultures, so I can adapt to different culture. People think differently. There's cultures within a subculture. And so, but purposely unconventional. So you can adapt to the things around you. Number 9, concern of the welfare of humanity. Let me say that again. I want you to not listen. I want you to hear. Concern of the welfare of humanity. So I don't even have to keep on going to that. All I heard was Jesus. When you read all the things that self-actualization person is supposed to be, this is saying Jesus. Number 10, capable of deep appreciation of basic life experience. When someone say, how could you still talk to your mother? How could you have all the things you've been through? How can you not cry? When I used to do a lot of the domestic violence seminars and stuff, they'll say, well, how can you stand there and talk about your life and not be upset and not cry and not... Why am I crying? I did cry. I'm healed. And when you're healed, you're gonna come in different. When I start crying for something I spoke about, I know I haven't really truly dealt with that in my heart as yet, or the experience is still there and I'm still living it out. But I get over it quickly. I don't stay in it. Identify it and come out of it. That's one of those 6 problems solving steps. Number 11 is establish deep, satisfying, impersonal relationship with a few people. Establish deep, satisfying, interpersonal relationships with a few people. I have interpersonal relationship with few people. Certain people comes in my circle. They understand me. Number 12, peak experiences. Now that was number 11. Number 12, peak experiences. Number 13 is need for privacy. Self-actualization people are big on privacy. Not big to the point where if you invade my privacy, I get upset and I get out of whack and get bent out of shape. No, but I need that private time with myself. Like I said, I'm here now. This is my time, my space. When I don't get my space, I feel like a fish out of water. I need to think. I need to be with me. Even if I have to go sit in the bathroom for 3 or 4 hours, give me that time. I need that time, because my privacy time is me and his time, which I'm with him all the time, but I just need that intimacy time with him. Me and him being alone. So that's it. Number 14. Democratic attitude. Let me make sure I said that right. Democratic attitude. Democratic attitude is and democratic. Let's get the understanding of that. Relating or supporting democracy or its policies. So, supporting democracy or its policy. So a democratic attitude, that's what they say. Okay, number 15 is strong moral ethics standards. If anybody have strong moral ethics standards, I have one. I'm big, and moral has to do with principles, and my principles is of God and the Word, and I stand on His standards, His principles. So that's what the self-actualization is. I can get into the behavior leading to self-actualization and all that stuff, but we're going to leave that right there. What I'm going to do is come back and say, how do I now walk out of this and give me solutions into walking out of it? And one of the things I said to you is identify where you're at. Identify where you're at. How do I do that, and how do I walk out of once I identify and by making the plan? So we'll break down the 6 steps of how you make that plan, because we are lost. We are lost, and these things aren't being taught to us, and we're still walking into the same thing over and over and over again. Educational applications, there's so many applications that you can apply to yourself. Always look to, and I'm going to throw some of it to you, always look to better yourself. Always find a way. Last night, let me tell you, I sat there for 5 hours and actually watched Nostradamus. And no one will watch Nostradamus. Let me tell you something. I watched Nostradamus. I watched so many things about him, and it was so scary. I put it on Facebook last night, and I don't think anybody got it, but they're getting it now that I reword it, because I want you to catch me in the spirit. I don't want me to spell it out all the time. But one thing I put on Facebook, I said that he actually predict Hitler. And they said, as I was listening, now get it, I wasn't hearing them. I was listening because I was doing other things. And I was listening and something caught my ears. And that's where my heart is. So what I heard, once I stopped listening to everything else and was hearing what the TV was saying, they said, I'm going to read this to you. Gotcha. See, you got it, right? See, because we could be listening, but we have so many things going on around. Right now, I'm speaking to you, and I just listen to the bird chirp. I can stop and hear it, but I'm just listening. I'm listening to the clock ticking. It's ticking. But what am I hearing from the clock? But that's a whole nother thing. Don't get me there. Okay, let me tell you what happened now. As I was listening, I stopped to hear what they were saying. It was like, okay, amen. It says, watching Nostradamus in 21, it's the 21st century prophecy revealed. And what just caught my ear was, this is what I said, Hitler was a powerful and spellbounding speaker who attract wide following of Germans desperate for change. I want you to hear me. He promised the disenchanted a better life and a new and glorious Germany. So he talked to the unemployed. He said he could make a new and better Germany. And Hitler was the ace boon coon. Now, at the end, I put the people actually fell for it at the end. And in January of 1933, Hitler was appointed chancellor, the head of the German government. And many Germans believed that they had found a savior for their nation. That sounds familiar. And every time we put somebody in office, we're looking for that savior. Yes, Sen. When You read about Hitler. Girl, I'm going to tell you like this. He who have an ear, let them hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying. Okay. So there's some things we need to listen to. So that's my scope for today. Let me get back to my lesson. But again, yeah. Self-actualization, morality, creativity, spontaneous, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, and acceptance of facts. Those are the charts. Where are you? How did you get in an abusive relationship? How did you get there? Because you have to identify where you're at. What are your intentions? Where is your self-esteem? Are you familiar with this behavior? And is it a behavior pattern you have to deal with? Verbally, mentally, physically. Do you know molesters and rapers is 9 out of 10. They either saw someone get molested or they became or raped, and now they became the product of their environment, or it was done to them. These are the reasons why we walk into relationships. So I hope you had a wonderful time with the scope, and I'm gonna put you're welcome. I'm gonna put here how to walk out, and we'll do a scope on that one there. Walk out of the relationship. How you build yourself up to walk out. Okay, so I'm gonna get back to my lesson, and I thank you all for high replayers. Thank you for all the hearts, and y'all have a wonderful day. See you later, Sint. Bye. Okay.